What's up, everybody? It's Jordan, and welcome to the Sports 2 Heinz Show. In this video, I want to be talking about some of the best steals in the 2021 NFL Draft. The draft, is over and everything. It started almost 2 weeks ago, and there was quite a few major steals in the NFL Draft. I thought this year was really the year of players dropping, and so there was even some great players who even went undrafted. And I'm going to be talking about the top 10 biggest steals in the NFL Draft. These are not in any particular order. These are just in the order that they were drafted. To start off, in the first round, it's kind of weird to say a steal in the first round, but this really was, in my opinion, the biggest steal in the first round and arguably one of the best value picks in the entire draft. The Los Angeles Chargers selected Northwestern offensive tackle Rashawn Slater. Last season, the Los Angeles Chargers did not have a single offensive lineman have a PFF grading higher than a 66. On free agency, they signed Green Bay Packers center Corey Linsley to a 4-year deal. Really helped the offensive line, but just getting one piece is not enough. There were some people who liked Rashawn Slater more than Penei Sewell. Lots of people like Rashawn Slater in the fact he can play tackle or guard. In the 2019 season, he had 355 pass blocking snaps. He only allowed 5 quarterback pressures and allowed 0 sacks. And I just absolutely love this pick for the Chargers because, in my opinion, there is no better possible pick here for the Chargers. This is an A-plus pick. This is tremendous value. And protecting Justin Herbert is absolute must because the Chargers actually had a worse offensive line last season than the Cincinnati Bengals. And we all saw what happened to Joe Burrow last season in Cincinnati getting hurt and was out for the season. Getting this great protection with Slater at 13th overall will really help Herbert in the pocket, give him more time to throw. And I just absolutely love this pick here for the Chargers taking Slater here at 13. Another steal I really like in the second round is for the Las Vegas Raiders. I know everyone talks about their first round pick and Alex Leatherwood at 17, and that was a major reach. That was a horrible pick, but I really think people are not talking about their second round pick, and that is Trevon Moehrig, the safety from TCU. I absolutely love this pick so much. Moehrig was the best safety in the draft, in my opinion, and it wasn't even close. Despite being the best player at his position easily, he was still severely underrated. I thought he was a top 20 talent in the draft. I believe he was 43rd overall to the Raiders. They drafted Jonathan Abrams, the first-round pick safety from Mississippi State several years ago, and in just 2 seasons he's only played 13 games due to injuries. I think getting Trevon Moehrig here, possibly an insurance policy for Abrams or maybe even a future replacement. Fantastic pickup. He's absolutely tremendous in pass coverage. He had a 92.8 grade in pass coverage among safeties, among eligible safeties in the draft this season. That was first among safeties throughout all the prospects in the 2021 NFL Draft. Also led the FBS and pass deflections the past 2 years among safeties. Also, since 2019, he led all the safeties in Division I with 22 forced incompletions. That is the most in the country. Like I said, Trevon Moehrig is a phenomenal player, outstanding talent, best coverage safety in the draft, best safety in the draft. Cannot believe the Raiders got him here in the second round. Another steal I really liked quite a bit was the Cleveland Browns in the second round, taking Notre Dame linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Heading into the draft, in my opinion, the biggest need for the Cleveland Browns was probably linebacker because last season in free agency, they actually lost their starting linebacker Joe Sherbert to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They've still been trying to find his replacement. I think getting Koramoah here is a phenomenal pick. It's tremendous value. One easily best player available here. They traded up to get him. And if you're going to trade up, get best player available in a team need, and that's exactly what the Browns did here. He's also a phenomenal linebacker when it comes to coverage as well. He was the second highest player in slot coverage grade according to PFF in 2020. And that's just absolutely crazy. He's a linebacker. He's not even covering often. You don't expect to cover linebacker to be that well in coverage, but he is, and that just really shows you how good Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is. It was just a great pickup here for the Cleveland Browns getting Owusu-Koramoah in round 2. There's also one other second-round pick here I like so much, and that's the Carolina Panthers taking wide receiver Terrace Marshall Jr. from LSU. They could really use a wide receiver. They're trying to give Sam Darnold some more weapons he did not really have all his time with the New York Jets. They have DJ Moore. In my opinion, he's arguably the most underrated receiver in the NFL. Terrace Marshall Jr. was the best player available. He was the best wide receiver available. This is a great pickup here for the Panthers. Terrace Marshall Jr. had a phenomenal year during LSU's national championship season. He's an awesome player in the red zone as well. Terrace Marshall Jr. has 11 receiving touchdowns within the 10-yard line since the start of the 2019 season. That is the most in college football since that time. He is absolutely great. He's also has great hands as well. He had a 59.5 career contested catch percentage. That is first among all 2021 wide receivers. It really shows you how good he is because you look at the wide receiver class this season. There were so many talented receivers. The fact that he's first really shows how valuable Terrace Marshall Jr. is. Like I mentioned, he's a great red zone target, and he also did not drop a single red zone target during his time with the LSU Tigers. He had 25 red zone targets, and he did not drop a single one. The Carolina Panthers got an absolute steal here in getting Terrace Marshall Jr. here in round 2. Another steal I really like here, I know some people may not consider this a steal. I know a few people may even consider this a little bit of a reach, but he was my favorite player at his position heading into the draft, and that is Patrick Jones getting drafted by the Minnesota Vikings here in round 3. Patrick Jones, if you watch his film, seems like even in the bad game, he'll still get you a sack and a couple of quarterback pressures. He is all over the field. This is 2020 season. He leads all players in sacks in college football with 19. Since 2019, Patrick Jones is also 4th in the country in pressure rate as well. He gets to quarterback quite often, and I really feel like Patrick Jones could kind of be like the Carlos Dunlap that Mike Zimmer had during his time with Cincinnati. Patrick Jones is a pretty tall edge rusher. Carlos Dunlap was also a tall edge rusher. I love this Patrick Jones pick. I know lots of people may not necessarily think it's a steal. I think it's going to be one of the best value picks in the entire NFL draft. Another steal I really like here is the Dallas Cowboys pick of round 4, taking LSU linebacker Jabril Cox. They took a linebacker, Micah Parsons, in round 1. Ian Rappaport reported that the Dallas Cowboys will not be picking up Van Der Esch's 5th-year option, so they can definitely use some linebacker help. Since 2019, Jabril Cox is first among linebackers in pass coverage with a 91.5 grade. That is first among all linebackers since that span. The Dallas Cowboys absolutely got a steal here in Jabril Cox. With their 2nd-round pick, I would not have been surprised at all if Jabril Cox was gone by the time their 2nd-round pick. The fact that they got him in round 4 is a tremendous value pick and an absolute steal here by the Cowboys. Another steal I like here is the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans did not have many picks, and they did not have a 1st-round pick or a 2nd-round pick. They were the only team who did not have a 1st or a 2nd-round pick. But one pick I really liked from the Houston Texans was taking Miami, Florida tight end Brevin Jordan. He was projected to maybe go late 2nd, early 3rd, but due to his horrific pro day, he dropped to day 3. And I love this pickup here for the Houston Texans. Whoever your quarterback is, whether it's Deshaun Watson, whether it's Davis Mills, Tyrod Taylor, Ryan Finley, whoever your quarterback is, he needs weapons. He's the only tight end this past season to have over 300 receiving yards after contact. He had 353 receiving yards after the contact at his most FBS last season. I think he's going to be a big piece in the Houston Texans offense in years to come. And the Texans got a great pick here in Brevin Jordan. Another pick I like here is another pick by the Minnesota Vikings. And the Minnesota Vikings had a lot of great picks in the later rounds like Chad Surratt, Patrick Jones, and Wyatt Davis, and even Kellen Mond, the quarterback of Texas A&M. But one pick I do not think is being talked about enough was with the 199th pick, the Minnesota Vikings took Pittsburgh defense tackle Jalen Twyman. I love this pickup. The Vikings traded for Ndakwe from Jacksonville last season. Obviously it did not work out. They could really use some help in the defensive line. Like I said, they took Patrick Jones in round 3. Getting Jalen Twyman in round 6 is an absolute steal. In 2019, Jalen Twyman was 2nd among defensive tackles in sacks, having 11. He reminds me so much of Geno Atkins. You look at his pro comparisons. You look at Geno Atkins and Aaron Donald, who's been some of the best defensive tackles in the NFL for nearly a decade. And like I said, with Mike Zimmer, he was a defensive coordinator with the Cincinnati Bengals. He had Carlos Dunlap off the edge and Geno Atkins as defensive tackle. Both those guys are Pro Bowlers and All Pros. And Jalen Twyman reminds me so much of Geno Atkins. Geno Atkins was a late-round pick for Cincinnati. And, you can make a case that he's a future Hall of Famer. Jalen Twyman, to me, I would not be surprised at all if he has, very similar stats to Geno Atkins, because I think Twyman and Patrick Jones are going to have absolutely fantastic careers with Mike Zimmer and the Vikings. Jalen Twyman here with the 199th pick. I think it's a very, very nice pick here by the Minnesota Vikings. My final 2 steals of the draft are the Philadelphia Eagles selecting LSU safety / linebacker Jacoby Stevens. I thought this was a great pickup here. The Eagles could use some help in the secondary. They could also use some help at linebacker. This was easily best player available. During Jacoby Stevens' time with the LSU Tigers, he had 1,285 coverage snaps. He had 8 pass breakups and only allowed 3 touchdowns. I think Jacoby Stevens was a steal. This was a team need for the Philadelphia Eagles. This was also best player available. I love this pick here for the Eagles, and I think the Eagles just had a phenomenal draft overall. I really think the Philadelphia Eagles had one of the best drafts in the entire NFL. My final steal is the Kansas City Chiefs selecting Trey Smith, guard from Tennessee, with a 226th pick overall. A big reason why Trey Smith fell so far is because several years ago during his time with the Tennessee Volunteers, he actually had blood clot issues, and teams are kind of scared with his medical issues. That's something much more serious than football. They're not sure if he's going to be able to play properly. It reminds me of a very similar situation with Maurice Hurst. Several years ago, he was projected to be a first or second round pick, actually dropped to the 5th round to the Raiders. He had some heart issues, and if it wasn't for those heart issues, he would have been drafted much earlier. Trey Smith did not have those blood clot issues. He probably would have been a second round pick, and unfortunately, due to something much more serious in football, he dropped all the way to the 6th round. But I just absolutely love this pick here for the Chiefs. They get more depth on the offensive line. They traded to get Orlando Brown in the offseason to give Patrick Mahomes great protection. They also signed Joe Thuney. They drafted some offensive linemen as well, like Creed Humphrey, the center from Oklahoma. Trey Smith, he doesn't just play guard. He actually started left tackle some with the Tennessee Volunteers. So he's kind of versatile. He can play tackle or guard, whichever one you want him to play. And the fact that you get a second-round talent here in round 6 who can play in multiple positions on the offensive line, that really is an absolutely phenomenal pick here by the Kansas City Chiefs. Like I said, this was my top 10 steals of the 2021 NFL Draft. These were in no particular order. And a couple other picks I like here quite a bit were Tylan Wallace going to the Baltimore Ravens and Amon-Ra St. Brown going to the Detroit Lions. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it, and I will see you next time on the Sports 2 Hunt Show.